You're still watching the People's Tele, Ogtv to 5 UHF, and the program still is New Dawn Otonjo. We are now being joined by our first guest, who is an educationist, a proprietress of a school in Ogun State here. Don't forget, we said our focus was going to be resumed academic activities across primary and secondary school levels, not leaving out the kindergarten level, if you permit us to also include that in our discourse for this morning. And by all standards, she qualifies to discuss this very issue. She is the proprietress of Mercyland Group of Schools here in Abeokuta, who also has the PhD in Educational Management. Dr. Aanuoluwapo Bankole is here in the studio with us, and we're pleased to have her in the studios of New Dawn Otonjo this morning. Dr. Bankole, good morning.
Good morning.
It's nice to have you with us here.
Yeah, nice
and we say Happy New Year to you.
Thank you.
Together with her, we shall be taking a look at core issues that relate to education, what the roles of the major players in the education sector should be, particularly now that the children are back to school. Ola Williams is also in the studio with us this morning, and he will be taking on Dr. Aanuoluwapo Bankole in Yoruba language. Ola, over to you.
Mo kí wa káàbọ̀ padà sórí ètò yín ètò wa New Dawn Otonjo láti lè ṣe tẹlifíṣàn ti ìpínlẹ̀ Ògùn nílùú Abẹ́òkúta. Ní òwúrọ̀ yìí, ọ̀mọ̀wé arábìnrin Aanuoluwapo Bankole tí wọ́n jẹ́ olùdásílẹ̀ ilé ìwé, tí wọ́n jẹ́ òbí, wọ́n jẹ́ olùkọ́, bákan náà nígbà kan náà ti jẹ́ ọmọ ilé ìwé rí. Ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀ ó wọnú ara wọn ni. Ohun tí à ń gbé yẹ̀wò ni pé àwọn ọmọ wọn ti padà sí ilé ẹ̀kọ́. Kí ni ojúṣe àwa òbí? Kí ni ojúṣe àwa olùkọ́? Kí ni ojúṣe àwa tá a jẹ́ akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ fúnra wa? Pàápàá jùlọ, kí ni ojúṣe àwọn olùdáléèwé sílẹ̀? Ọ̀nà wo ni a lè gbà láti fi ran ara wa lọ́wọ́? Kí ni nǹkan tí àwọn ọmọ yìí tí wọ́n nílò? Tí a bá ṣàkíyèsí pàápàá, a rí pé àtọ̀tún àtòsí nílé ìwé pọ̀ rẹpẹtẹ. Ǹjẹ́ ilé ìwé ò pọ̀ jù bá a ṣe ń wò yìí náà pàápàá? Ṣé kò ní àléébù, sọ̀rọ̀ yìí ò ní lẹ́yìn tó bá yá, àbí wọn ò tiẹ̀ tó ni? Ọ̀pọ̀ gbà nígbà tí a wà ní màjèṣín, tá a bá rántí irú ẹ̀kọ́ tí wọ́n kọ́ wa ó ti yàtọ̀ sí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn ẹ̀kọ́ tí wọ́n ń kọ́ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ báyìí. Tí a bá wo ẹ̀kọ́ ọ̀gbà yẹn àti ẹ̀kọ́ ọ̀sìn, èwo ló múnádóko jù nínú méjèèjì? Pàápàá jùlọ tí a bá wò ó, kíkàwé, pé ká gbèwé ká kà á, ó dàbí pé àṣà yìí ó ti ń kú díẹ̀díẹ̀. Ọ̀pọ̀ àṣà tó wà níta nísìnyí ni bóyá ká wọ́n ní lórí ẹ̀rọ ayélujára, internet, ká browse, ká google. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn nǹkan wọ̀nyí ni ó gbàyè kan báyìí. Ṣé kìíní yóò ń ṣe àkóbá fún ètò ẹ̀kọ́ kíkà? Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn nǹkan wọ̀nyí ni aláǹfààní láti tan ìmọ́lẹ̀ sí lórúkọ ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà nílé, lórúkọ àwọn tá a wà níbí, pàápàá jùlọ lórúkọ olóòtú ètò yìí Ṣèyí Ọ̀làdìmẹ́jì. Mo kí ọ̀mọ̀wé arábìnrin Aanuoluwapo Bankole, mo kí wọn káàbọ̀ sí orí ètò Otonjo. Mo kí n káàbọ̀ sí orí ètò mà.
Ẹ káàárọ̀.
Ẹ ṣé na.
As it is the tradition with us, everyone will be given the opportunity to interface with our guest on the discourse of today, which is resumed academic activities, the roles of the parents, the teachers, the pupils, students themselves. And we urge you to also be part of the discourse. We shall let you know when it is appropriate for you to make your own contributions to the program this morning. Now, Dr. Mrs. Aanuoluwapo Bankole, as a proprietress, as an educationist, is the third week of resumed activities across the kindergarten, primary and secondary school levels in Ogun State in Nigeria. If I ask you to do an assessment, certainly, of what the disposition of these students and pupils are in the first instance to resume academic activities, what would you say that is?
Thank you very much. We are all aware that school resumed precisely 2 weeks ago. This is the third week. And institutions mainly are established to educate young people, to educate them to be able to become leaders. And not only leaders, to be able to be at the forefront of the rapid economic and social development in Nigeria and beyond. When you look at the academic calendar of schools, nursery, primary, secondary schools, we have 3 terms in a session. The term starts from September to mid-December. That is first term. We have first, second, and third term. The first term usually is always crowded. Parents has a lot of things in terms of responsibilities to shoulder on their pupils, their children, students, and everyone in general. That's the actual time whereby they have to get new textbooks, exercise books in terms of stationaries, uniforms, pay school fees, and other things on their own, on the aspect of the parents. And when you look at the children as well, we have two categories now, pupils and students. If you are in kindergarten, nursery, primary, we call them pupils. And in the secondary, we say students. So I'll be using the word interchangeably. So they too have to prepare for the challenges ahead of them. Number one, the motivation is there. They're moving into a higher class. Because in September, that is a new beginning of a session. Now, the pupils and students in question, they have to put themselves together after the holiday, prepare for the new academic session. The school, on our own, has to put in place the infrastructures and things that will be used within the session and in that particular first term. Then the second term, when you look at second term, this is actually when students, school, and parents had to come together, prepare the children for exams. Because this is the time they have to obtain forms, look around, go to the guidance and counselor in schools to be able to advise them on which course to choose if they are in secondary school, most especially in SS3. Okay. Also, if they are in primary 6, they have to prepare for internal exams, which will avail them the opportunity to go to secondary school. And the school as a whole has to prepare the students as well. So the three, both the parents, the students and pupils, and the parent has a very vital role to play in school resumption.
Now, we have information that, for instance, at the public school level, government officials are always on their toes, monitoring schools resumption, going from time to time at both the secondary and primary school levels to ensure that teachers are up to the task, students resume early, parents also play their own role. At the level of private schools that we have in Ogun State, for instance, do we also have a structure to ensure that what obtains in private school A, in terms of standard across these levels we have spoken of, is what also obtains in private school B, private school C, private school D, and so on?
Yes. The effort of government is highly commendable, because if you have schools and there are no proper supervisory level and monitoring as well, there won't be effective teaching and learning process. So at every point in time, there ought to be the people from the government who will come around to supervise and see that the laid down rules and regulations have been followed by schools. In private schools, when we resumed, you see people from Ministry of Education. In fact, the commissioner himself went around to see that all schools resumed and they start work in earnest. And when we talk about starting work in earnest, a lot of people always think reading and writing is education. It's part of education. But when you are talking about education, we're talking about a total education, whereby reading and writing is an aspect, co-curricular activities and other things are embedded in the curriculum. And not only that, the curriculum we're using, whether private, whether public, is the same thing. It is from the curriculum that you develop the scheme. From the scheme, you get the lesson notes and other things. But in as much as we're using the same curriculum, we have in education what we call hidden curriculum. This is left to the individual proprietors and proprietresses to be able to ascertain what fits in at that particular time. Like I said before, that we have 3 terms in a session, which provides excellent education for young boys and girls to be able to have a passage to the adulthood by developing their character, intellect, physique within the academic community, to be able to care for the child, the values, and other things that are put together. So monitoring and supervisory work is very, very important. Is check and balance to schools to be able to know where they are going, and what they are yet to achieve and attain in the school system.
Now, before I hand you over to Ola, I also want us to take a look at the collaborative role between the institutions as represented by teachers and proprietors and the parents over the need for everyone to ensure timely commitment of these young ones at the level of resumption of academic activities. How will you describe, or what should you say should be the core relationship between people like you who are on the other side and the parents, all in a bid to ensure that an all-round individual is produced in that pupil or student?
Like I said before, we all have roles to play in the life of our children. Education starts from home. Like the adage that says, charity begins at home. When we have laid down rules and regulations, it is in the parents' interest to follow suit and ensure that these children abide with the rules and regulations. Punctuality is the soul of business. If the school says the school should resume, children should resume 8 o'clock. If you come late to school, you will not be able to enjoy the rest of the day, because the school assembly is there, where a lot of morals, spiritual, academic, physical, and other activities are done during the assembly. If a child misses the assembly, he or she has misses a lot of things. So as parents, we need to follow suit to ensure that these children abide with the rules and regulations of the school. And as students and pupils as well, we have a lot to do, because a student or pupil has to be determined. You have to be determined. You have to, you need to be focused. If you are not focused, you are not determined, then you are not ready to achieve and attain a lofty height. But once a child is determined, the school is resuming. We have first, second term, and in between we have holidays where they ought to have they ought to have whatever they need or needed to be done ought to have been done. Whether you want to relax, you want to rest, you want to travel, all these things are part of education. And as a school, we should ensure discipline, self-discipline, self-sacrifice, commitment, finesse, purpose, and all these things put together need to be put in place as an institution.
Wa mo kí lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí pé ẹ kú kalẹ̀. Ọmọwé arábìnrin Aanuoluwapo Bankole tí wọ́n jẹ́ olùdásílẹ̀ iléèwé, bákan náà ni wọ́n jẹ́ olùkọ́, wọ́n jẹ́ òbí, nígbà kan rí àwọn náà ti jẹ́ ọmọ iléèwé. Mo kí yín pé ẹ kú kalẹ̀. Tí a bá wò dáadáa, mo fẹ́ yà díẹ̀ lápá ibi tí Adésínà ti bá mú ọ̀rọ̀ títí ẹ̀. Mo mọ̀ wípé ìpele mẹ́ta ló wà nù sáà kẹ́kọ̀ọ́ kan, ìyẹn tá à ń pè ní term, first term, second term, third term. Nínú ìpele mẹ́tẹ̀ẹ̀ta yìí, èwo ni akitiyan máa ń sábà pọ̀ jù ńbẹ̀? Torí ẹ ti sọ pé ìpele kìíní ìyẹn first term, ìgbà yẹn làwọn òbí ni wọ́n ní ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ojúṣe láti kó bóyá ràwé sanwó iléèwé raṣọ tuntun àti nǹkan kan bẹ́ẹ̀ nínú àwọn ìpele mẹ́tẹ̀ẹ̀ta tí a bá wò èwo ni akitiyan tó mú ìgbáradì bá ìdàgbàsókè ẹ̀kọ́ èwo ló pọ̀ jù nínú ẹ̀ ìyẹn ìbéèrè kínní. Ìbéèrè kejì tí a bá wò dáadáa iléèwé gangan fúnra rẹ̀ kí ni akitiyan tí àwọn gbọ́dọ̀ ṣe láti lè rí i pé ètò ìkẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ó fẹsẹ̀ ranlẹ̀ nínú ilé ẹ̀kọ́ wọn. Ìkẹta ni pé ìbáṣepọ̀ ló wà láàárín ilé ẹ̀kọ́ aládàáni àti ilé ẹ̀kọ́ ìjọba torí mọ̀ wípé bó jẹ́ G2 náà fẹ́ ṣe ìjọba ni ó gbé gbèdéke ẹ̀ kalẹ̀ tó bá dẹ̀ jẹ́ pé WAEC náà ni ìjọba náà ni àtàládàáni àti tìjọba ètò ẹ̀kọ́ kan náà ni. Ǹjẹ́ àwọn àsìkò kan máa ń wà tí àwọn ilé ẹ̀kọ́ aládàáni máa ń fikùn lukùn pẹ̀lú àwọn ilé ẹ̀kọ́ tìjọba? Òpálàyé yẹn ṣé kò pọ̀ jù?
Kò pọ̀ jù. Ó kàn jẹ́ pé bóyá torí ẹ̀ kì í ṣe tíṣà ẹ ti mú gbogbo ẹ̀ ẹ ti.
Mo fẹ́ fòwò kan pẹ́yẹ bíi mẹ́jọ ni.
Ó dà bẹ́ẹ̀. Ìbéèrè kínní wípé èwo ni ó
lakitiyan máa ń pọ̀
jù. Mẹ́tẹ̀ẹ̀ta ni bí mo ṣe ṣàlàyé lákọ̀ọ́kọ́ tẹ́lẹ̀ pé first time ìgbà yẹn ni àwọn òbí wọ́n máa ní láti ṣe oríṣiríṣi nǹkan láti jẹ́ kí àwọn ọmọ wọn kí wọ́n wà ní ìmúrasílẹ̀ láti wọ sáà tuntun. Àwọn ọmọ náà mọ̀ pé àwọn lọ sí kíláàsì
sí ìpele míì
sí kíláàsì míì so àwọn náà wọn ò mọ nǹkan tí àwọn fẹ́ lọ bá pàdé ń bẹ̀ tíṣà tuntun àwọn ọ̀rẹ́ tuntun oríṣiríṣi nǹkan làwọn náà tí wọ́n máa gbáradì fún. Dẹ̀ni iléèwé náà àwọn náà ní láti múra sílẹ̀ gbogbo àwọn nǹkan tí àwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ yẹn tí wọ́n máa nílò bíi classroom tuntun ni o àwọn ìjókòó oríṣiríṣi nǹkan bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn àwọn tíṣà náà àwọn kan tó fẹ́ lọ láti ibì kan síbì kan bóyá nítorí location wọn ni àbí nítorí wọ́n ní transfer or whatever. So all these things had to be put into cognizance. Then the second term, that is the actual period when children will start obtaining form. Ìgbà tí wọ́n máa gba ìwé tí wọ́n máa fi lọ sí ilé ìwé mi, iṣẹ́ wo ni mo fẹ́ ṣe, school wo ni mo fẹ́ wọ̀, àwọn nǹkan wo ni mo fẹ́ ṣe. Third term yẹn nígbà tí wọ́n máa ṣe ìdánwò. Òun la fi ń sọ wípé if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. May we not fail in Jesus' name.
Yeah.
So the 3 terms are very, very important. It's not that one is more important than the other. Nǹkan tó kàn ṣẹlẹ̀ ń bẹ̀ ni pé tí èèyàn bá ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti bẹ̀rẹ̀, you make hay while the sun shines. Tó ti múra ẹ láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ pé nǹkan tí mo fẹ́ ṣe ni. It's not that pé tó bá di third term ló ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ máa wá sáré wípé okay o ìgbà tí mo fẹ́ ṣe ìdánwò láti lọ sí ìpele míì rèé kó wá jẹ́ ìgbà yẹn ni èèyàn ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ máa sọ pé òun ni ó ní akitiyan jù. Kò rí bẹ́ẹ̀. But nǹkan tá ṣe pín sí ọ̀nà mẹ́ta ni pé oníkálukú term ó ní iṣẹ́ tí a máa ṣe nínú ẹ̀. So láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ tọ́mọ bá ti mọ̀ pé òun fẹ́ resume padà sí school fún session míì fún sáà míì ó ti gbọ́dọ̀ múra ẹ̀ àwọn òbí náà ti gbọ́dọ̀ ṣe akitiyan ẹ̀ so that ìgbà tó bá máa fi di ìpele kẹta yẹn tó jẹ́ third term there won't be any running helter-skelter again. One will just be building on what has been laid down.
Ìyẹn bẹ́ẹ̀ ìkejì bóyá kí n rán yín létí mo wò ṣòkòtò àtẹ̀wù ni mo wọ̀ yìí ọkùnrin mi ẹ̀wù ló máa kọ́kọ́ wọ̀ kó tó wọ ṣòkòtò ẹlòmíì ṣòkòtò ni ó kọ́wọ́ kó tó wọ ẹ̀wù lé àmọ́ ohun tó ṣe kókó ni pé kó wọṣọ kí wọ́n dẹ̀ rí àtiléèwé aládàáni àtiléèwé tìjọba ìdánwò kan náà lẹ́jọ́ ṣe ẹ̀kọ́ kan náà gbogbo wọn jọ ń kọ́ ọ̀nà tẹ́ fi ń kọ́ ló yàtọ̀ ìbáṣepọ̀ olówó wà tí ẹjọ́ máa ń ní papọ̀ nígbà tó jẹ́ pé gbogbo ohun tí ẹ̀yin méjèèjì jọ ń ṣe láti kọ́ àwọn ọmọ lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ni ǹjẹ́ ìbáṣepọ̀ wà?
Ìbáṣepọ̀ wà dáadáa ṣe mọ̀ pé kò sí nǹkan tí iléèwé aládàáni tá lè dá ṣe. Gbogbo nǹkan tá ń ṣe náà ọ̀dọ̀ àwọn ìjọba ni a ti ń gba ìyọ̀ǹda. So tọ́mọ bá wá sí private school tàbí ó lọ sí government school, a sì máa pàdé, we're going to meet at the peak. Torí a máa ṣe NECO, a máa ṣe WAEC. Tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀ pàápàá ní primary 6 wọ́n sì máa ṣe nǹkan tá ń pè ní common entrance. Àti ẹni tó wà ní private school o àti ẹni tó wà ní government school. So nǹkan tó kàn wá ń bẹ̀ ni pé nǹkan tèmi fẹ́ ó yàtọ̀ sí nǹkan tẹ́yin fẹ́. Ṣé ó ti yé yín bí pé èèyàn fẹ́ ra coke nsìn ó fẹ́ mu, mo lè rò pé òkè coke tí mo fẹ́ rà yìí jẹ́ kí n lọ sí sweet sensation kí n lọ mú. Ṣàpè tẹ bá débẹ̀ wọ́n lè tan AC. Tẹ bá ní bí mo ṣe mu coke yìí o mo tiẹ̀ fẹ́ sáré ìzára mi, ó lè jẹ́ tẹ bá tiẹ̀ débẹ̀ náà ẹ máa bá AC ẹ máa bá gbogbo ẹ̀ ń bẹ̀. Tẹ bá dẹ̀ sọ pé òkè o coke yìí jọ mo ti pẹ́ jẹ́ kí n yà ní búkà kí n mú. Ṣe mọ̀ pé oníkálukú ló mọ nǹkan tó fẹ́. But at the end of the day, whether you are in a government school or you are in a private school, the ultimate goal is that we should achieve success. And to me, success is not in the kind of place you are or the money you have or what you have achieved, but the internal value. Ọmọ tó lọ sílé ìwé ìjọba ó ń ṣoríire, èyí tó wá sílé ìwé aládàáni ó ń ṣoríire. Èyí tó jù ń bẹ̀ ni pé kí àwọn ọmọ yìí kí wọ́n ti mú nǹkan tí wọ́n fẹ́ ṣe kán mú lókùnkúndùn. Àwọn private schools a lè dá ṣe nǹkan láìsí ọwọ́ ìjọba ń bẹ̀. Òun náà ni mo sọ ní èdè òyìnbó lẹ́ẹ̀kan wípé wọ́n á tiẹ̀ máa wá káàkiri ní òrèkóòrè láti wò báwo la ṣe ń ṣe sí. Èèyàn kò lè bẹ̀rẹ̀ iléèwé láì ṣe pé ìjọba bá fún ní ìyọ̀ǹda. Tán bá fún ní ìyọ̀ǹda tán wọ́n tún sì gbọ́dọ̀ máa ṣàbẹ̀wò ẹ̀ láti wo báwo ló ṣe ń ṣe sí. So ìbáṣepọ̀ ó wà láàárín àwa oníléèwé àdáni àti
iléèwé ìjọba. Ẹ ṣé, ìkẹta tí mo béèrè òun ni pé gẹ́gẹ́ bí iléèwé kí ni ojúṣe iléèwé gangan láti lè rí pé ètò ẹ̀kọ́ ó gbilẹ̀ dáadáa ní iléèwé bẹ́ẹ̀, àtijọ́ tìjọba ni o àti aládàáni ni iléèwé yẹn gangan tá à ń sọ. Ṣé àwọn pé bọ́mọ bá kúrò nílé iléèwé ló ń lọ, bó jẹ́ toko ní, bó jẹ́ tìgboro, bó jẹ́ tìlú òyìnbó, kí ni ojúṣe iléèwé yẹn gangan? Ǹjẹ́ ó nípa tí iléèwé yẹn náà tó ń kọ́? Àwọn olóyìnbó á ní the 4 walls of a school pé ó pass through ẹ̀, àbó jẹ́ kí school pass through òun. Àwọn Adésínà àmọ́ ẹ̀ dáadáa torí àwọn ò kàwé. Kí ni ojúṣe ẹ̀?
Ojúṣe iléèwé ó pọ̀ púpọ̀ torí pé gbogbo nǹkan tí à ń sọ yìí tí ò bá sí ibi ìkẹ́kọ̀ọ́ tó dára. Ní òyìnbó a máa ń sọ wípé there is no way you can teach without putting into cognizance the environmental contingencies. Èyí ni pé kò sí bí èèyàn ṣe lè kọ́ ọmọ láì ṣe pé ó wà ní agbègbè tó dára. Ṣó ti yé yín? Agbègbè tó jẹ́ wípé kò ní sí ariwo pé Èkó Ìbàdàn. Ṣó ti yé yín? Àbí ibi tó jẹ́ wípé wọ́n ń jà lójoojúmọ́ torí nǹkan táwọn ọmọ yìí bá rí òun ni wọ́n ń kọ́. In fact àwọn nǹkan tá à ń sọ yìí ó tiẹ̀ ń dúró sí wọn lórí ju àwọn nǹkan tó dá lọ. So ibi tí iléèwé fẹ́ wà ó gbọ́dọ̀ dára. Gbogbo àwọn nǹkan tí a máa fi kọ́ wọn ó gbọ́dọ̀ wà. Teacher olùkọ́ ó gbọ́dọ̀ dára. Ẹni tó dá léèwé sílẹ̀ náà ó gbọ́dọ̀ ní àwòkọ́ṣe, ó gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́ àwòkọ́ṣe tó dára fún àwọn ọmọ. Àwọn òbí náà yẹn gbọ́dọ̀ ní sùúrù, kó ní ìrẹ̀lẹ̀, kó ní ìtẹríba. Gbogbo àwọn nǹkan yìí torí pé gẹ́gẹ́ bí olùkọ́ àwa ni àwọn ọmọdé yìí ń wò. Our tolerance, perseverance and endurance level ó gbọ́dọ̀ ní òṣùwọ̀n tó pé àti tó dára. So gẹ́gẹ́ bí iléèwé àwọn nǹkan yìí tá máa fi kọ́ ọmọ kíní tá máa fi chalkboard ní àkípé ní blackboard mọ́ sí gbogbo èròjà
pátákó
ìkọ̀wé ìwé library science room and all these things had to be in place.
We still have with us here proprietaries of a school in Ogun State, the proprietaries of Mercyland Group of Schools, Dr. Mrs. Aanuoluwapo Bankole, and we're taking a look at the role of the teacher, the parent, the pupil/student as resumed academic activities is being recorded across Ogun State and beyond. We know for sure that by now the students and pupils have settled down to academic activities. What should be the continued assistance that can be extended to these pupils and students by their teachers, their parents, and even their guardians? The school itself, what should it do to ensure that these children are really encouraged to be at their best as they pursue their academic programs? We shall be throwing the lines open very shortly for you to interface with us on what you think we can do the more to encourage these children of ours to imbibe that which is of good virtues as against what they see in the society via all forms of social platforms. We shall be engaging you very shortly. Now, anyone watching us now will want to give kudos to you by my own estimation, by virtue of the way we've been able to communicate in Yoruba language. But the worries I have are this: many of our children and pupils cannot communicate in their local languages the way they should in schools across private and public levels. Is this being deliberately discouraged?
Oh, thank you so much. When you talk about these children being not able to communicate in Yoruba language, the fault, to me, you can't blame them. Why? Parents, when you send your children to private schools, the expectation is that they should be able to speak good English. So from day one, you start to, good morning, how are you? Bring that pencil. Say thank you to auntie. If a child goes to a private school, your own child, let's take for instance, and he or she does not know how to speak English, you will go back to that school and tell them off that they don't know what they are doing. I paid for English language, that my child should be able to speak English. But in education, I tell you, we should start from our mother tongue. That should be the first thing. Once a child is able to speak the mother tongue very well, such a child will be able to communicate very well in English language. But if you start with English, what you have in turn is translation of either Yoruba to English or English to Yoruba. So, to me, I don't want to blame these children. Rather, we want to continue, or probably I should say continually conscientize our parents for them to know that the right thing, the adequate thing, the normal thing to do is to start with, if you are a Yoruba person, you should start with Yoruba. If you ask me as a mother, I eulogize my children, my husband.
Every morning.
As the situation
arises.
Yes. You understand? That is, our culture should not be wiped off.
Now, let me ask you this. While we were growing up, I will recall on the walls of our classrooms, vernacular is prohibited. God helped you, you spoke in Yoruba in those days, and you would know what was going to befall you. In your own school, for instance, Mercyland Group of Schools, you also have same tradition? I'm asking. Vernacular prohibited, pasted all over your walls?
No.
So you encourage the use of local
Yoruba
language
yes.
in your own school.
In Mercyland International School, we encourage that. What I'm saying is that at the beginning of childhood, the first language should be your mother tongue. You understand? At the beginning. Whatever is imbibed in these children will linger on forever.
And at the level of your interface with the parents, do you encourage them? Because in some homes, or in most homes, I can confirm to you, vernacular, our own language, which is so rich, is forbidden.
Okay. Let me tell you one thing. My own little children at home, my husband compelled them that they should always speak Yoruba to him. Because now, when they are to speak Yoruba, like my Bolaji, she speaks like Egu. You understand? So, vernacular prohibited. I'm not saying when you get to a school, they should just be shouting, making noise, and then if you speak in Yoruba, it enables you to pa all the time. But what I'm saying is that from onset, from childhood, the first language that should be introduced to children should be the mother tongue.
Now, I want you to just look into that camera and tell those parents who are in the process, or some who are in the habit of believing strongly that there is nothing good about their local languages. Let them hear now.
Okay. My darling parents at home, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as an educationist, I'm saying this and telling you that the first language that should be introduced to our children should be our mother tongue. Let's take the Igbos for instance. Every Igbo child, do I say individual, okay, knows how to speak the mother tongue or Igbo language very well. The same should apply to Yoruba language. When a child is growing up, the first language should be the mother tongue, not necessarily Yoruba. If you're an Igbo, you speak Igbo. Yoruba, you speak Yoruba language. Then English language is a lingua franca that can follow suit. And you will see that you've not lost anything. Rather, you are trying as much as possible to put the two together so that when that child grows up, will be able to speak fluently the mother tongue and this English language which we've been anxious about. This will be attained and it will be equally achieved at the end of the day. Because a child starts speaking Yoruba from onset will not deprive that child from speaking good English language.
Mama wa ẹ jẹ́ ká fi kinní kan wò, èmi tún fẹ́ ta sí àgẹ̀rẹ̀ díẹ̀ sí ibi tí òun bá mú lọ yẹn. Àkíyèsí fi hàn tẹ́yìn náà pàápàá gbọ́dọ̀ rí ẹ bá ti ń káàkiri. Gbogbo àwọn ilé àlàpà, Ojúlànwá International School, Bangbelu International School, Ọlọ́gẹ̀dẹ̀ International School, Optimus International School, gbogbo ẹ̀ ní International School. Bàbá ti rí ilé kan tó ti jẹ́ Àkọ́kù International School. Bàbá rí Àgàdà kan International School. Ìjọba ò dẹ̀ ní fi iléèwé lẹ̀ láì jẹ́ pé wọ́n pèsè gbogbo ohun tó yẹ kó wúlò fétò ẹ̀kọ́ sí iléèwé bẹ́ẹ̀. Àmọ́ àwọn international tó jẹ́ private aládàáni, mò ń gbé kíní ìbéèrè yìí síwájú nítorí pé aládàáni lẹ́yìn náà ni o, pé ṣé kò sí àjọṣepọ̀ kan tí ẹjọ́ máa ń lò pé ṣe àpé bọ́lọ́pàá kan bá fẹ́ ba iṣẹ́ ọlọ́pàá jẹ́, ó ṣe é ṣe káwọn ọlọ́pàá ní ọ̀gbẹ́ni àgbọ́dọ̀ yọ ẹnu iṣẹ́ ọlọ́pàá ni. Irú iṣẹ́ tiwa yìí náà tá a bá rí ògbufọ̀ kan tàbí akọ̀wé ìròyìn kan tàbí oníròyìn kan tó fẹ́ ba iṣẹ́ yìí jẹ́, a ní òfin tó lè dèrú ẹ níbẹ̀ kò sófin tó di àwọn international school yẹn lọ́dọ̀ tí àbí ètò ẹ̀kọ́ lè wúlò ní àlàpà international school etí odò international school ọlọ́gẹ̀dẹ̀ international school eléwúrẹ́ àwọn international ṣe wá pọ̀ tó bẹ́ẹ̀.
ẹ má tí ì lọ jìnnà ṣe rí látijọ́ tí aláyé ti dáyé báyìí ni màá ṣe nǹkan mi kò yí padà ṣé ti yé yín mi ò rò pé òfin kan wà tó de pé tí èèyàn bá bẹ̀rẹ̀ iléèwé ní ibi tó kéré pé kó má lo international.
ṣé ó yẹ kó bẹ̀rẹ̀ inú ilé àlàpà.
ó ní mo ti sọ síwájú.
káti ẹ jẹ́ ká yọ international kúrò ṣé ó yẹ kí iléèwé máa wà nú àwọn ilé àlàpà ilé àkọ́kù tá à ń rìn kiri yẹn.
ṣe rí
torí oríṣi àlùfáà méjì ló wà o èyí tí fún pè àti tọ́lọ́hún pè ṣé.
ṣe rí little drops of water little grains of sand make a mighty ocean. There is always a first time.
A beginning.
A beginning. And I believe that though my beginning is small, my latter end shall be great. So pé èèyàn bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti ibi kékeré, ìyẹn ò sọ wípé bóyá ibẹ̀ ò dáa. Ṣé ti yé yín? Àwọn tó ga náà, ibì kan náà ti bẹ̀rẹ̀. Ẹ jẹ́ kí èmi fi ara mi ṣe àkàwé. Mercyland International School lénìí ibì kan láti bẹ̀rẹ̀. Fún ògo Ọlọ́run pẹ̀lú àwọn ọmọ méjì pàápàá tó jẹ́ àwọn ọmọ mi. La fi bẹ̀rẹ̀ pẹ̀lú àwọn ọmọ ọ̀rẹ́ mi wọ́n jẹ́ 4. Tó bá di September a máa pé 20 years tá ti wà lẹ́nu ẹ̀. Ṣé mọ̀ pé ibi tá ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ ibẹ̀ kọ́ la wà. Ibi tá dẹ̀ ṣì ń lọ ó ṣì jìnnà. So tí èèyàn bá bẹ̀rẹ̀ iléèwé níbi kékeré èmi ò rí nǹkan tó burú nù ẹ̀. Nǹkan tó burú nù ẹ̀ ni pé ṣé àwọn nǹkan tó yẹ ká ṣe gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹ̀kọ́ tó yẹ ká kọ́ àwọn ọmọ olùkọ́ tó dángájíá yàrá ìkẹ́kọ̀ọ́ tó ṣe wò ibi tí àwọn ọmọ fẹ́ fi sọ pé àwọn fẹ́ ṣeré ibi tí wọ́n fẹ́ lò gẹ́gẹ́ bí toilet àti àwọn bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣé à ń ṣe àbí ibi tá a ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ yẹn ibẹ̀ náà la jókòó sí tí a ti ẹ̀ gbìyànjú láti tún sọ pé a fẹ́ lọ síwájú. Ṣó ti yé yín? Òun ni mo ṣe sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan pé success is not in the amount of money you have, your position or what you have achieved, but the internal values, what you determine to do, your desire to aspire higher and to get there. Tá bá ṣe nǹkan tó yẹ ká ṣe, tá follow curriculum, scheme, táwọn olùkọ́ ń kọ lesson note. Lesson note is the life wire of the teaching job. Tá ní what we call behavioral objective, purpose. And at the end of the day, when we evaluate, we're able to meet up with the expectation. I don't see anything wrong in small beginning. What is wrong is when you don't do the right thing at the right time.
Ṣé lè wé ọ̀pọ̀ jù?
Kò tí ì tó.
Kò ì tó?
Kò tí ì tó. Kárìnká pọ̀, iye ló ń yẹ ni. Some are even saying standard of education is not the way it's supposed to be. I don't agree with that. The standard of education is improving every day.
By your own estimation?
Yes.
Now, what are those things that give you such a conviction?
My dear, you don't just judge with what information you receive from people. You gather your raw data, your information. You analyze your information. Look at the significant level. The significant level is 0.5. See whether the information being received, whether they are right or wrong. There are rumor mongers. We're educated people. We are not market people whereby you say, hey, there are things over there. People will not wait to see. Ask and see whether the right steps must be taken or not. You just join the group. 20 years ago, there is nothing like computer. Nothing like SIM card. Even the phone we use, if you want to lock it, you have to go to the market, get padlock. Now you can lock your phone. Children can work on the computer. You can do a lot of things. Career professions getting
expanded.
Yes. Before, if you have an architect or somebody who read architecture or somebody who studied architecture in school, but now you have architectural design. You have estate management. You have interior design. The architect will only draw now. Then you have interior people to design for you. Not by taking boards and whatever, but by drawing, using your 3D, working on the computer. What we should say is not that standard of education is falling or has fallen, but rather we have lazy students.
All right, let's begin to take input from those who are watching us. When we give one or two people the opportunity to actually interface with us, we now begin to tell us about those lazy students, the quantity of such lazy students within the education system. Then we can begin to also talk about that. The telephone number through which you can be part of this discourse is to be displayed on your TV screen right away, so that you can also be able to contribute to what we are discussing. Resumed academic activities in schools, particularly kindergarten, nursery and primary level, as well as secondary school levels. And the proprietors of Mercyland Group of Schools, Dr. and Mrs. Aanuoluwapo Bankole, is our guest. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Professor.
Good morning, what's your name?
Yes, thank you. This is Mr. Alabi, Kenneth Alabi.
Mr. Kenneth Alabi is calling from where?
Yes, I'm calling from Ibadan Housing.
Okay, Mr. Alabi, please go ahead.
Yes. My question is, in your question about the lazy students, and what are take on that? Because the parents are actually to pay the fees, and the teachers have to teach. So the students should be their own responsibility towards their personal success. It is very, very important and very, very vital. So I want actually her take on that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kenneth Alabi. Now, same issue that you're talking about, some students being deliberately lazy. What should be the take of the students themselves in their own career?
You see, once you have the facilities on ground, you have good teachers, you have everything in place. You have everything in place, and you have lazy students. What we need to do is to motivate them. Try as much as possible to talk to them through seminars, workshops. Have what we call guidance and counseling unit in school, whereby they will be well monitored, both at home, in school, and perhaps all around.
All right, let's just take this one more call. Perhaps it's going to be the last. Hello, good morning. Can you speak up, please? Good morning. We cannot hear you. Can you speak up, please?
This is Shango Tade Peter calling from
Shango?
Shango Tade Peter calling from
Okay, Shango Tade calling from Ewekoro. Please go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you, Mr. Shango Tade from Ewekoro. All right, we lost that. Dr. Mrs. Aanuoluwapo Bankole, I would like you to, as a parting shot, give a counsel to everyone that is concerned with the academic development of a child. The government, school proprietors, parents, guardians, teachers, guardian and counselors, and as well as the students and pupils themselves.
Yeah, I would just want to give this, and I believe it will go a long way. Proprietors, proprietresses, government, all stakeholders in the education sector should have the finesse, purpose, commitment, self-sacrifice, self-discipline. And I think I've mentioned commitment. And a lot of this they should have all this put together to be able to develop. They should not develop now. They should have all this together to change let me see the word I should use, to change the panorama of institutions and education development in Nigeria and beyond. Parents, teachers, and the school authority should cooperate with themselves and see themselves as partners in progress in the future of their children. Once we know that anything imbibed in them, everything will linger up in future. And the three domains of education, the cognitive, affective, and the psychomotor domains, should be taken into cognizance. And by the special grace of God, with His help, He will give us the strength to achieve successes in life.
Amen. All right, that's how it's going to be on this segment. Our guest had been the proprietress of Mercyland Group of Schools, Dr. Mrs. Aanuoluwapo Bankole, who is also privileged to have a PhD in educational management, and he had actually spoken to us about the essence of educational pursuit of our children and the responsibilities of each and every one of us as a parent, as a teacher, as a guardian, as a stakeholder, and of course the parent pupil themselves, believing strongly that together we can really bequeath a worthwhile future to these children, the area of educational pursuit. Dr. Mrs. Aanuoluwapo Bankole, we want to thank you for your time with us, and we wish you, your institution, and everything that surrounds you the very best in 2014 and beyond.
Thank you.
Ola.
tó ẹyọ wa aláti dúpẹ́ gidigidi lọ́wọ́ ọ̀mọ̀wé arábìnrin Aanuoluwapo Bankole mo ń láti yìn yín torí mo ń retí gbogbo bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe ń sọ òyìnbó yẹn kẹ́ fi àsìn tó yẹ pé òun ló wọ́pọ̀ láàrin àwọn òyìnbó àwọn ọmọ ọ̀sìn ó túmọ̀ sí pé àwọn òwe àtijọ́ lẹ́yìn ká bẹ́ẹ̀ tí ẹ sọ àwa ti rí yẹn mo gbóṣùbà fún yín lórí irú ẹ̀ mọ̀ pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ ṣì pọ̀ láti sọ àmọ́ kò sí àyè púpọ̀ ọ̀pọ̀ béèrè ló wà pàápàá jùlọ lọ́dọ̀ ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ẹ wà nílé mo ṣèlérí fún yín pé láìpẹ́ láì jìnnà a ó tún pe ọ̀mọ̀wé arábìnrin Aanuoluwapo Bankole mo sì nígbàgbọ́ pé wọ́n á jẹ́ ìpè wa mo ń ṣàlàyé fáwọn èèyàn lórúkọ yín pé àtúnṣe ń pè yín ẹ̀ẹ́dẹ̀ jẹ́ pé wa ṣé bẹ́ẹ̀ náà lórí ẹ ṣé púpọ̀ tó èyí tó ń tẹ̀síwájú èèyàn wa tí a bá padà dé alága ẹgbẹ́ tí ó wà fún ẹgbẹ́ àwọn oníjó nílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà Dance Group of Nigeria àwọn ni a ó gbà lálejò ọ̀gbẹ́ni Ṣeun Fábùsúyì. Kí ni ijó, ìbáṣepọ̀ oníjó ní pẹ̀lú ìgbé ayé àwọn ènìyàn? Ǹjẹ́ ijó wà fún títà, a lè ṣiṣẹ́ ijó àbí kákan jó lásán ni? Oríṣiríṣi àwọn ijó wo ló wà. Nígbà tí alàgbà Ṣeun Fábùsúyì tí wọ́n bá dé, a máa ní àǹfààní láti tan ìmọ́lẹ̀ sí. Lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí mo kí yín pé ẹ kú dìde àṣẹ ìlàlákàn ṣe ó dìgbà.